what's up, parish orphans and retrogrades? Timothy Gordon coming to you live from my RV, the Freedom Elite, no longer in California. I'm traveling, I'm on the move with my family. We are actually stationed at a hotel in Mississippi tonight. Hunting, we're looking outside of California. We're finally getting out. The last straw was my firing, of course, on June 3rd. You guys all know about that. I've updated you some. And we're getting out of Dodge, probably going to Mississippi. What a lovely place. What a lovely group of people you all are. Everyone there has been incredibly generous with your prayers, your time, your attention, and with your dollars as well. My family will never forget what form of digital subsidiarity you guys have given us, and we're deeply appreciative. A quick update before I get to my open letter, my open plea to Bishop Barron is that I'd like to update you guys. Steph and I did a video on the status of homeschooling that we see fit to share with you all. What I mean is we announced 2 exciting classes that I will be teaching, church history and Aristotle, starting in the fall. Lots of people have enrolled. I kid you not, my life has become, over the past month, so iconographic, symbolic. I don't believe in anything other than biblical numerology, and I've never paid too much attention to that. But as I come to you right now, I kid you not, exactly half of the Aristotle slots that we opened up earlier in the week remain open because half of them have been filled, and exactly half of the church history slots remain open because half have been filled. I don't know what to make with that. I mean, that's a weird thing. It's literally 50 out of the 100. If we need, we might go slightly larger classes than 100. I just think it's weird, and stuff like this starts happening when the times get interesting, like the Chinese curse goes. So people have been really diligent in finding precisely how we wanted to offer these courses online, on Twitter, emailing us, asking us through DM directly. Thank you all for your diligence. I want to announce now, go to timothyjgordon.com, click enroll. Lots of people watched that first video that Steph and I did and noted duly that we didn't talk about exactly how you would be able to enroll in the classes because we didn't have it set up yet. Now we do, and guess what? We've made it even easier, more streamlined for you guys to go to the timothyjgordon.com website and just get enrolled. It's $400 a class, $300 if you're a certain level of patron. It's a class that goes all year long, basically from September through April. And really anyone 13 or up, mostly we have adults in the classes, but any really smart middle school kid or older can augment their education at whatever level by taking church history and Aristotle's ethics. After Aristotle's ethics is over, we will do in the spring of that other course, the spring of that other year, we'll do the philosophy of man. So today I bring to you a public open letter, which is a plea to Bishop Barron, who's one of the adjacent bishops whose jurisdiction is right near mine in the Diocese of Fresno, from which I was terminated on June 3rd, as many of you know. The reason this is relevant is because because Bishop Brennan is one of Bishop Barron's brother bishops. I think they knew each other in Los Angeles and worked together. And Bishop Barron released the following Twitter statement. He's come under heat recently for this statement and others like it, relegating the onus of Catholic action against terrorist organizations which are now desecrating Catholic chapels, destroying our holy statues, and persecuting the church as far as they can. He's putting that on the lay. Listen to this, the laity. When I shared the statement on social media, many commentators replied with some version of this. Well, Bishop, making a statement is all fine and good, but what are you and the other bishops going to do about it? What struck me again and again as I read these rather taunting remarks is that these folks, primarily laymen and women, are putting way too much onus on the clergy and not enough on themselves. Okay, so let's talk about this. Bishop Barron and the rest of the California bishops have released a statement more or less praising Black Lives Matter, the terrorist, Marxist, anti-Christian organization who is now moved on from lighting fires in the streets and murdering people, as they were doing 4 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, around the time I got fired, to desecrating holy statuaries, especially J. Sarah, Junipero Serra, other of the California evangelists, particularly Franciscans, like Junipero Serra, one of the greatest evangelizers of California to the native peoples. I'm going to do a video just on J. Sarah to show what a Chad, what a baller this guy was. Serious Catholic saint from when it really counted. I'd like to contrast J. Sarah with maybe some of these brother bishops in terms of taking the real gospel to people who really didn't have it, the indigenous people or whatever, and doing such an effective job preaching and teaching the gospel that these people converted in large numbers. And the bishops nowadays can't even preach or teach their own congregations. More on that in a second. First, I want to address this irony. Bishop Barron, I took your advice, Father. I took your advice, and I make a filial appeal, sincerely, to you, as a son to a father. We want action. We want defense from the Black Lives Matter terrorist organization, who is now incentivizing people, charging them up, giving them the propaganda requisite to motivate them to go to churches, desecrate statues of the great saints, and it looks as if they're moving on to even statues of Mary. In foreign countries, they're moving on to statues of Mary. I received a story this morning that now certain countries' Black Lives Matter movements or equivalents are saying that the famous painting of St. Michael the Archangel stepping on the head of the devil is a white man stepping on the head of a black man. It's ingenious, the psychology of the diabolic, because it plays on existence prejudices of our day, the prejudices that white people tend to have against themselves. Oh, well, it is a white Saint Michael stepping on a darker complected Satan. So maybe there's a point there. This kind of hand-wringing is ingenious. It's being played against us. And Bishop Barron, you said that the laity should play a more prominent role in combating this stuff. Guess what? I took your advice. Famously, I took your advice. Everyone knows I took your advice because I now am fired by your brother bishop, who you know, Joseph Brennan, I believe you know him, from Los Angeles, in a nearby jurisdiction, in a nearby diocese to your own. I stood up to these terrorist thugs. And I said, Black Lives Matter is a terrorist organization. And I explained how and what I meant. And this is before Black Lives Matter was going around attacking churches. I think they'd set one church on fire in the nation's capital in New York. I forget which. I think the capital. But they weren't yet going around destroying statues. They weren't doing that. Since then, they've begun doing that. And Bishop Barron, you told us, the faithful, that we, the laity, should take more onus, take more personal responsibility, own more the moral culpability for defending ourselves and I guess our churches, even though the pastors are, you're the ones charged with defending the sheepfold. Okay, whatever. So I did that, right? And on June 3rd, I was fired by your brother bishop. Would you please stand up for me? Would you please remind your brother bishops in California who seem to have, in filial piety, I say, they seem to have lost their minds. I'm going to read a statement that sounds like it's praising Black Lives Matter, defending the wolves, praising the wolves, and condemning the sheep against whom the wolves' jaws have set. And yet at the same time, not even coming out in your own personal statement, Bishop Barron, and saying, I side with the wolves, but making it sound like you are one of the good guys. You are one of the shepherds, or at least sheepdogs, that protect us against these villains, but not having the courage to say, I'm with them. Bishop, the Bishop of San Diego, he comes out and semi-brazenly admits, hey, I think these guys are good guys. I'm with these guys. I would not say that they're wolves. Whatever. Bishop McElroy. You don't say that, Bishop Barron. What you say is, hey, I'm with you guys, laity that want to see some action taken against these terrorists, even though you kind of say contradictory things about the terrorists themselves later. But you say, you guys just have to do it more. We can't do everything. Okay. Well, how about this? Let's be real. Let's be honest. Let's not be fancy academics that sit in ivory towers and cast aspersions on one another with multisyllabic epithets and things like that. I've requested before a reconciliation with Bishop Barron because he knew that Dr. Taylor Marshall and I had made a video about him that was critical. He refused the opportunity at reconciliation. That was an opportunity missed. Here's another one. Here's another legit opportunity for myself and Bishop Barron to be reconciled, and for him to stand up for me, and for him to instantiate the veracity of his ostensible words in this statement that he released on Twitter. He's come under major fire because conservatives are saying, hey, it doesn't look like you mean what you say. What you say doesn't connect with our shared Catholic experience anyway. Why would the laity take control of this, right? Heavy is the head that wears the crown. And when Black Lives Matter starts going around desecrating churches, they're kind of your churches, the property's there in your careful watch. So I get fired on June 3rd. I have a daughter who had a very, very comprehensive, large brain surgery less than 2 months before. Your brother Bishop, Joseph Brennan, His Excellency, fires me for saying a now embarrassingly obvious statement of fact, of historical fact, that Black Lives Matter is, as a matter of fact, a terrorist organization that has, committed murder, arson, acts of religious sacrilege against the one true faith, and other crimes, things that I guess you would diminish, like property conversion, grand larceny in the streets, on film. Okay, well, here's why this is your duty, not mine. Because when I tried to do it, not only did you sit idly by my spiritual fathers, right? Not only were you neutral and utterly unsupportive of me, allowing my daughter to go uninsured after July and allowing me and the rest of my family to be uninsured and unpaid after July. But you took a worse than neutral role, a more aggressive than neutral role, a role that actively sides with the wolves, much as Bishop McElroy would openly own up to doing. I'm just asking you, given my daughter's somewhat famous story of brain surgery, given the fact that to this point you speak as a Thomist, right? You speak like we're on the same team. We're just going about this in a different way. Why is it not adequate for us to say, cool, we're on the same side. You're the father, I'm the son. You're not one of the McElroys of the world, ostensibly, and you don't like Black Lives Matter. And let's name them. Let's say the bad guys. They're doing bad things, and Catholic prelates like Bishop Joseph Brennan, who side with them, are doing the wrong thing, and you can apply some positive peer pressure for the good, the true, and the beautiful. Give me my job back. My daughter doesn't deserve to be uninsured. I don't deserve to be unpaid. Okay? Because I'm doing what you just said in your tweet. In a posture of filial piety, I mean this. This is not an ostentatious appeal. It's not a supercilious appeal. It's not one done. I'm not doing it smarmy. I'm trying to be as literal and as forthcoming and as candid as I can, emotionally candid. Please stick up for me. You're one of my spiritual fathers too, even though I'm not directly in your jurisdiction. And look, I was following your advice before you even gave it. You said you want, if the laity has a problem with terrorist organizations that are destroying Catholic, our Catholic patrimony in the streets, that they should take more of the onus themselves. And look what I did. I decried it. I said, I'm not going to use an Anon burner account because I'm not a coward. I'm not going to not say something because I'm not a coward. I'm not going to curse about it. I'm not going to say it in a vile way. I just said as directly and as Thomistically as one can do. BLM is in a state, Thomas distinguishes, Bishop Barron, between sedition and insurrection. Right? One's morally licit, one's not. I said that a couple days, like May 30th, before I tweeted that BLM, in another Thomistic fashion, quite directly, is a terrorist organization. It's been designated that by FBI. It's been designated that by all of our pairs of eyeballs, seeing them setting things on fire in the streets. It's been designated that by Webster's dictionary. This is what terror is, right? A crass effectuation of political power through violence. And it's been designated that by the BLM themselves. After the FBI designated them a black identity extremist group, they copped to it. They said, this is us. They're talking about us. They wrote an article. And on their website, more important than even their terrorism is their overt anti-Catholic Marxism, where they say their mission statement. Why will you not address this? Why will you not address that their mission statement, Holy Father, Bishop Barron, says that they're against the Catholic family, the nuclear family, the nuclear Western family. They're against private education. They're against heteronormativity. Now, we're going to get to that in a second. You've spoken on this before, and I was nonplussed. But so given the direct, propositional, Thomistic, syllogistic mode of argumentation that both you and I favor, we both call ourselves Thomists, please stick up for me. I followed your advice. All right. Normally I don't have notes here. It's your brother Bishop who did this to me, okay? Bishop Brennan, someone very close to you, used to work in the same archdiocese. You're supposed to be my shepherd. You threw me to the wolves. You're not McElroy, right? And some of these other guys that openly say, hey, yeah, I work with the wolves or whatever. Now, let's address not using my instantiation of the case. Let's address using someone else's instantiation of the case. The idea that your proposition, Holy Father, not Holy Father, but my spiritual father, Bishop Barron, is an empty set. In other cases, another famous case, whenever the Catholic faithful do more and are attacked by the left, the Catholic bishops are the first ones. Oftentimes, they toss that first stone. They toss the first stone and join in on the attacking of the faithful, or lead the attacking of the faithful. Case in point, the Kentucky Diocese of Covington and Covington Catholic High School released a joint statement in January of 2019. 2019, recent. They wrote about Nick Sandmann, who's a kid. He went on all the national news and he could barely even defend himself. He didn't even know what to say. He was a kid. He's one of the kids I teach at these high schools. This behavior, they write, is opposed to the church's teaching on the dignity and the respect of the human person. The matter is being investigated and we will take appropriate action up to and including expulsion, the January 19th statement said. We know this incident has also tainted the entire witness of the March for Life. What Nick Sandmann was completely innocent. He did nothing. And you guys, not you, but your brother bishops tossed him under the bus, tossed him to the wolves. Tainted the entire witness for the March for Life? How do you even do that, even if he did something bad? How could you taint the entire witness from March for Life? The language is so sweeping and grandiloquent that it can't be taken seriously even if he was a misbehaving high school kid, which happens all the time. And misbehaving high school kids, guess what? Do not taint the entire message of the March for Life. And express our most sincere apologies to all those who attended the march and all those who support the pro-life movement. This is vile. My spiritual father, Your Excellency, Bishop Barron. It's vile. I mean, you're a very intelligent man. You're very wise. You're a smart man. You understand that we are called to let our yes mean yes and our no mean no, the way Thomas Aquinas does. He doesn't mince words. You're always saying you're a Thomist. I say I'm a Thomist. I speak plainly. Black Lives Matter fits the propositional criteria befitting a terrorist organization. I got fired for saying something Thomistically. And it's been justified and back justified and back justified and proven 10 times over in the 3 weeks since I was fired. Black Lives Matter is a terrorist, Marxist, really cultish organization. Their cultishness is coming out in the news more and more and more. So I said that and I got fired. And you're asking the laity to do more, not less. And you're kind of calling us out as if, like a field general. I want to see what you guys are doing. I want to hear from the rank and file. You guys step up. I'm just one man. That's what you're telling people. And look, you can't even. If history is a guide, I'm not responded to, because these things do become kind of like, they become facetious. I don't think when somebody says something they don't mean, I don't think I'm gonna be responded to here. Now, if I am, then I'm sorry, right? If you respond to me and you say something that's deeply defensive in a good way of me, and defensive in a salutary way, then I apologize. But I'm also not a facetious cat. I don't play coy. I'm not being coquettish about my expectations for the ramifications of this video as per your response to it. I don't think anything's going to happen. Nothing positive anyway. I'm fired. I shall remain fired. I'm disappointed. I call my audience the parish orphans and the retrogrades, because most of us are without a spiritual father that will defend them. I don't think this should be that hard to maintain. It's not that hard a proposition to maintain, that we are pretty much parish orphans at this point. Okay. Now, so that's the first 2 points. The third point, I have to point out, also in anticipation of an underwhelming reply or a non-reply to me, is the deep selectivity that you exercise when it comes to direct episcopal involvement in political issues, issues of culture and state, that only, in a pros-hen equivocal way touch on the teachings of the church. They touch on it in at least one way, which is why they're pros-hen, but in a mostly equivocal way as per the teachings of the church. Like gay marriage. There's one significant way that bishops of the church ought to be weighing in on this issue. They ought to be petitioning civic leaders, the way Catholics do, to overcome this grave perversion of what's ostensibly gay marriage, what's considered civil gay marriage, which is a contradiction in terms. It's a circular square. There's no such thing as gay marriage. No more such thing, Bishop Barron, as gay marriage than there is me marrying my armchair or me marrying my cat, which you well know. But let's see how you responded when you were addressed about that other political issue, not the Black Lives Matter issue where they're setting your statues, toppling your statues, our Catholic patrimony. Arguably, the gay marriage issue, which I do think is a perfect purview for you to address, it's less directly involving of a Catholic bishop, even though I do think it's a valid area of adjudication, because it's your property. It's your J. Sarah statue that's being toppled. Many of your brother bishops in this case. But on Dave Rubin's show, I'm sorry I have to bring it up. That I'm being a little facetious. I'm not, because it makes the point so strongly. Your selectivity about political issues in which you ought to throw in your hat is staggering. On Dave Rubin's show last year, you stated about the Obergefell farce holding by this Chief Justice Roberts, who continually stabs us in the back. Should the Catholic laity continue to wage battle against marriage? And I'm going to quote you. I don't think I would want to press it much further. This is what you said, Bishop Barron. I think we are, right now in the States, I'll apply the Aquinas principle. I mean, my spiritual father, Your Excellency, I'm shaking my head. I'll apply the Aquinas principle to gay marriage, which he would say is a circular square. Aquinas would say this is he'll quote Plato in The Sophist, or maybe The Statesman. You can't explicate a false logoi. Explain to me how 2 and 2 is 5. You can't. There's no such thing as gay marriage. You're not applying any Aquinas principle. Give me a break. You said, I think it would probably cause much more problems and dissension and difficulty if we keep pressing it, and by pressing it, you mean opposing it. You mean opposing it. Okay? So, why? Oh, why? Why do you involve yourself in this substantive issue of the polity? Good Bishop Barron. Why that one? You told a gay man who was imploring you, it was a cry from his soul, a cry from his heart. I'll use some of the ostentatious language of other Catholic bishops. He was imploring to you, a poor sinner, saying, I'm interpreting some. Look, I'm a gay man. You're a Catholic bishop. I know the church is teaching on this. Go ahead and hit me with your best shot. Tell me why I ought to be converted and sin no more. And you swung and you missed. You swung and you missed. And I'm not, and everyone's been there. I'm haunted by a time I didn't stand up to a bully in the 6th grade. I'm literally haunted by it. Bully was actually bullying a girl that I had a crush on, and I didn't do anything. And it's deeply informed me the rest of my life. When I lift weights, I think about this. When I hit the heavy bag, I think about it. So I'm not trying to castigate you. Can that not be a learning moment, a moment of power? Your Dave Rubin interview, or in like fashion, your Ben Shapiro interview, where he was crying out in a similar way, I think, if I'm interpreting, for the one true faith, and you gave him the privileged path route. Please, okay, so those are 2 swings and misses, but we get 3 strikes in American baseball, right? 2 swings and a miss. You can still hit a homer out the park. And then here's a 3rd swing and a miss, but maybe not. Maybe we can turn this one around. This one's still present. This one's still ongoing. But so a poor sinner asked about his sin, and you said, "Oh, it's not that big of a deal." I'm giving the subtext. Then a Jewish man asked about the one true faith, and he's a very reasonable Jewish man that I think that reads Ed Fazer, that reads some Thomas Aquinas. He's a very reasonable man, and he set you up. So it's not like you would have been preaching to ears that are already closed. I mean, I don't know. You already know this because you're very smart. So I don't know. I mean that non-facetiously. So I'm telling you something you already don't know, and this must be an issue of the will, not the intellect. I'm not the one to judge. But this can be the 3rd one. You're swinging with 2 strikes, and you can knock this out of the park. Say, no, I did get involved when I stuck my foot in my mouth with regard to Ben Shapiro. I did get involved and give the directly bad answer, the textbook wrong answer to Dave Rubin. No, the Thomistic answer is yes, we must always oppose a vast, gross abomination that contradicts not only supernatural law and then natural law, but even our dictionaries. Contradicts nature that much. But now you say that you're hearing from the rank and file on Twitter and on social media, and they're asking you to get involved in defending them from this anti-Christian, hateful terrorist organization, Black Lives Matter. And you're saying, well, this one I'm going to stand down because, we need the laity to do that. Well, how about you don't tell the laity, Bishop Barron, to stand down on issues where they're right and you're wrong? Or you'd be wrong to tell them to stand down. And I'm literally me, my wife, my 6 kids, my eldest kid who had brain surgery and will no longer have insurance as she recovers. She needs extensive physical therapy after July. We suffer the consequences because you say in what appears to be a disingenuous statement that you don't ever intend to back up, hey, you guys take some of the onus for these Catholic moral theological issues, and we'll back your play, but you got to do some of the heavy lifting. Okay, I just did it, and you guys fired me. And you guys will do all you can, as far as I can tell, to keep me from speaking at churches. You guys will keep me from being in front of Catholic youths and teaching them the right faith. So you're not just neutral, that's worse than neutral. I'll apply the Aquinas principle, you say. As you say, I think it would probably be better to stop pressing against the issue. And in other places, you've given the Marxist globalist answer that the new, insinuatedly more important moral theological issues are the environment, borders, ecology, not the issues of the loins that get, 95% of the people sent to hell. But that's a whole other debate, I guess. Just that axiom of Catholic truth, that would have to be a whole other debate. Oh, man. Okay. You, I think, 95% sure, were on board for the Bishops of California statement regarding the removal and destruction of the statues of St. Junipero Serra. We call him J. Serra. The statement if anything, praised Black Lives Matter without saying their name, because you know they're really actually a terrorist organization. So you're just insinuating who they are. You did not mention Black Lives Matter by name. Rather, you referred to the movement as a movement that is fighting racism, which Black Lives Matter does nothing to fight racism. All it does is stands for the abortion of babies, the furtherance of people that have deep psychological disorders with regard to understanding their identity, particularly south of the equator in the loins. And you said that this group, Black Lives Matter, provides bold new hope as they desecrate statues, they topple America's heroes, they destroy not only the church's patrimony, but America's, and they kill people in the streets, namely cops, and they decommission police forces, and they destroy the nuclear Christian family, all in the name of LGBTQ, which again, you're showing who you really are, Bishop Barron, when you make appearances on Dave Rubin and you say, let's not hold the Christian line on LGBTQ. Let's give in. Like there hasn't been enough giving in, yielding, assimilation of the world by the church. You didn't mention BLM's Marxist roots either. And just the other day, 2 days ago, one of the founders of BLM said it's all about Marx. We were trained Marxists. You didn't mention that. So I don't see a lot of Thomism in any of this. And I'm looking for it because I'd love to have a spiritual father and to quit referring to myself and thinking of myself as a parish orphan. You didn't mention its objective to destroy the nuclear family and private education, which is so ironic. The paradox is crazy. Your inability to speak on these topics show that you're failing even on your own standard of keeping the church and the state separate, which I'm not on board for to the same extent you are. You should speak only on spiritual matters. Well, guess what? Gay marriage is a spiritual matter. The patrimony of the church is a spiritual matter. Moral theology is a spiritual matter. A stalking horse group that takes a banal or innocuous sounding name like Black Lives Matter, propositionally no one can disagree with it because we're not racists, but who is playing on, cheaply, the stalking horse of an obviously true proposition in order to spread hate against the Roman Catholic Church, against other Christian denominations, against America in its Leonine inception, right? Leo XIII loved America, sent a benevolent letter to all the American bishops. You choose to whitewash all that, make it sound like Black Lives Matter is good, and then in conjunction with your tweet, Bishop Barron, you say, hey, I'm not taking a position on this. It doesn't mean I'm against you guys. All it means is that you guys have to do some of the heavy lifting, like the bishops have been doing any lifting at all. The only bishops who have been doing any lifting are those like your brother Bishop McElroy, who are lifting in the opposite direction. Okay, so this was a legit appeal. I'm not being facetious. It's a legitimate appeal. Please help me. Please, if you meant what you said about the laity who are clearly concerned about this Black Lives Matter terrorist organization that is, especially in California, going around and destroying our patrimony, our statues. Now it appears they're going to move on to statues of Jesus and Mary and churches, burning churches. You won't stand up and you still want to call yourself a Thomist? Please do. I'm imploring you. I will sing your praises. I will get on this channel and I will look at the screen and I'll say, everyone, I made a prediction. You know, I often make predictions. That prediction was wrong. Bishop Barron repudiated his brother Bishop's wrongful termination of me. He rebuked the wrong ideology at root in that wrongful termination. He made good on all these claims as a Thomist. And thank you. Thank you for being a holy father. lowercase h. I kept saying, Holy Father, you're not the Pope. But thank you for being a spiritual father and making me feel for 1 week out of the year like I'm not a parish orphan. Still a retrograde, not a parish orphan. Let's see it. I'd love to see it. Now, if you don't do it, I'll tell you what I've been talking to my friend Stephen Harriet about. It's his idea. Stephen Harriet, those of you who know him, Catholic Vote, good dude, great presence on Twitter, one of the cleverest tweeters I see out there. We're talking about, with all seriousness, something like an arm your churches hashtag movement thing. Everyone go out there. Now, let's do this anyway. Go out there, take a picture of your most beautiful, especially if you have a really beautiful cathedral or basilica in your town. Go out there, get a bunch of the good old boys, and by that I mean of all colors of Catholics. Get all the different, ethnicities of Catholics who are gun-loving, America-loving, Jesus and Mary and Eucharist, Holy Sacrament-loving Catholics. And get a good, beautiful picture with big rifles right in front of the church and say, we defend our patrimony. Deus Volt. It's the rising tide. We are not going to stand by. I'll tell you what. Everyone send me these pictures. I'll post them all on Twitter. Peaceable, lawful defense of self and others and God and country and mothers and babies and fathers and families against these devils in the street. The rising tide catches all boats. My spiritual father. And this is the tide. This is the current. Right? We are not going to sit idly by anymore. The Christians of the first 3 Christian centuries, they stood idly by, and the best way they could bear witness to the world of Christ's love for them was, I'm in my RV here because I've been all but run out of town in my hometown in Bakersfield, and people knew, it's not utopia there anyway, the way people think. But I'm sitting here casting in my RV. I have to remark at the status of the world. I have to take a minute and sigh. Yeah, I'm really taken aback. I tell you, it doesn't, because I'm you can't surprise me too much, but I'm taken aback at the state of the world. And I was going to say something else, but I don't even know. I don't even know what's worth saying at this point. It's just the rising tide is Christians no longer misunderstanding the first 3 Christian centuries where martyrdom is the best way to bear witness. There's no such thing as Christendom. It was a pre-Christendom world. But now we're no longer going to be cowed into just saying, oh, well, let's just be white martyrs, because we already had Christendom. Unfortunately, the Protestants in this country gave it up. But we're not that much better because we're a bunch of Catholics that essentially gave up the church to the Marxists and the Masons and the homosexualists. So the Protestants gave up America to the secularists. Well, we Catholics gave up the church to the secularists. So let's not get on our high horse. Instead, let's just defend your churches, hashtag defend your churches, as Stephen Harriet would say. Take a picture, send it to me, you and a bunch of the good law-abiding, still law-abiding citizens of your church, all of you with rifles, and say, we will defend our patrimony legally, but we are not going to surrender the church or our lives to devils. We're not going, we're going to follow all the laws, which is what Thomas Aquinas commands us to do. It's what Christ commanded us to do. It's what St. Paul commanded us to do. But we are going to make a statement that we have every right to hold our rifles in front of the church, hold them up proudly, and to salute America, and to salute more than America, our great saints. Defend your churches. So even if Bishop Barron surprises me, catches me off guard, and affirms me confirms me, I suppose, in my plea to him that I still think we should do this. I wish Bishop Barron would support it, right? Peaceful, peaceable, lawful. Everyone get together, hold up pictures of your biggest rifles, your best deer hunting rifles, with all of your manly buddies from church in front of the most beautiful cathedral in town, and let's say defend your churches. Hashtag defend your churches. I don't know what to say, people. It's getting crazier out there. Bishop Barron, please stand up for me. Please stand up, not just for me or Abby or my wife or my other kids, but stand up for all, because I know you might, whatever. You might not like things I've said in the past. You might not like me. But please, people need a spiritual father. You can be the man in this hour. Defend us. Defend your own words. You said, hey, you guys help the bishops do some of the heavy lifting against these terrorist organizations, and you insinuated you'll back our play. Well, I'm calling on you, Holy Father, to back your play and to back my play, and I will await your decision. And there's no time like the present to be a hero, and we need not just the laity to be heroes. You got heroes like me. I mean, I'm white martyred. We need bishops, the Holy Fathers, to be the heroes as well. That's what we want. All we want is a Holy Father. All we want is the, holy priests and bishops out there, divine men that have been consecrated to our Lord, holy orders, priests in your cassocks. Join our Defend Your Churches movement. Just go out and take a picture with some of your spiritual kids, your flock, in front of the most beautiful church in town with your longest rifle. And Bishop Barron, it would be awesome if you would do this. You guys, I know you guys lift weights. Everyone's strong, and that's good. It's important to be strong. I try to relate this to the people that listen to me and my kids. It's important to be strong so that we're ready for the fight when the fight comes. Historical context matters. We have to defend our women, our children, our unborn children, our elderly, who the secular humanists hate. We have to defend black babies and white babies and Asian babies and Latino babies, right? In the womb, out of the womb, the whole thing. Whole life, as my friend Jason Jones says. And we have to defend our churches, and we have to defend the witness of the saints, and we have to defend the truths of our beautiful church. It's right to coexist. It's the one true faith, but it can coexist with other religions, the way liberal university student bumper stickers say. We're not wanting to dominate anyone. We want to convert them, show them that they're false. But we do so peaceably, and if we can't convert them, then we will coexist with them. But when the devils come to smash our churches, destroy the crucifixes as they're doing in other countries around the world, the other BLM equivalents, we have to stand up for our churches. Not just the property as well, but for the clerics who live there on the property. It's also a domicile for many of them. And for the people who might be in the churches. The Christian hate crimes are growing around our nation, and we're asking the bishops to take a stand. And this is, I think I've led from the front here. I am now jobless because I am willing to lead from the front, but I'm part of the flock. I'm not the bishop. So please, everyone, if you can, write Bishop Barron, ask him to do this. Everyone else, he wants to see laity action, so I'm giving the laity an idea. It's Stephen Harriet's idea. Take a picture with all your guns in front of your church. Everyone, Jesus, Mary, Joseph, be with us on the way. It's getting very wild out there. Please pray for me and my family. We're relocating to probably Mississippi. I'm here casting in an RV in Mississippi, United States of America, June 24th, 2020, the year of our Lord, Anno Domini 2020. And it's a wild scene. And let me tell you, people, closing thought, the Marxists are coming for us and for our churches, and people are going to have to pick a side. It's getting wilder and wilder out there. The best way to defend is to go to timothyjgordon.com and pull your kids out of the schools, homeschool. This is the only way you can be totally sure I will cover you for your middle school, high school, adult education for theology and homeschool. Go to Enroll And please check out your options. Food storage, buy guns, buy ammo, go to church, receive communion on the tongue, and let's get ourselves mobilized to fight, at least in the public sphere, in the public square, with rhetoric and with logic. And if they want to bring a fight to violence, we're going to have to be prepared to defend ourselves. Jesus, Mary, Joseph, be with us on the way. Thank you very much. Please check out my Patreon and Dave's Patreon. And God be with us all. And Holy Father, I await a reply, and I really sincerely hope that you confirm me. It's a plea from the heart. Thank you. God bless you all. God bless America.